All right, so now let's talk about how to build a music business. I really want to empower independent artists to take control of their careers, to take control of and ownership of their music, and to not get taken advantage of by other people. So I'm helping you to kind of build this mindset. So going back to this number one of registering a limited liability company, again, we do this because it builds a liability shield around us so they can't sue us personally when something goes wrong. So we make sure that we set up the LLC where we live. It's usually very inexpensive. It's usually pretty fast to do. You can get help, hire an attorney, and I do this all day long. And in fact, I've set up like a dozen different LLCs for my own business ventures because it's good to have one LLC per thing, right? You might have one LLC as kind of your music business, your record label, as a big umbrella to what you do. But the beautiful thing is that you can set up as many LLCs as you want. And I do this often for filmmakers. And, when it comes to different film projects, right, we'll have a new LLC for each film so that if something happens with one of the films, it's not going to affect the other one. So keep that in mind. So as far as, when it comes to setting up the limited liability company, do that. And then you're going to get an operating agreement in place. Okay. So even if you are the only person in your company, you still want to get an operating agreement for two reasons. Number one, it's going to be a document that you have in place already for when you do get partners, for when you do bring people into the company. So it sets forth the rules of the road, who owns the company, who gets to spend the money, who gets paid when there's distributions, who gets to, own the IP, or how does that all work? And having that agreement in place is a beautiful thing because it's just already there, regardless of when you decide to partner up, sell assets, interest in the company. But then the second reason is because it's usually required. In a lot of states, it's required that you have an operating agreement as a limited liability company. And, when you go to open up your bank account, they're going to say, hey, I need to see your articles of organization. I need to see your operating agreement. So you want to have it in place for that reason as well. All right. So then moving on, the next thing that you do is you get what's called an EIN, which is an employer identification number. And it's kind of like the security or the social security number for your LLC. So these first three steps are we set up the LLC, we get an operating agreement in place, and then we get the EIN because you need that to open the bank account, which, by the way, I was in the bank for 2 hours today, opening up 2 new business bank accounts for all of my business stuff. It's an administrative process. It's a headache, but you bring your laptop to the bank, you connect to their Wi-Fi, and you get some shit done while you sit there. So after you've kind of done these first couple of steps, now we're talking about building your team. Okay, so let's really focus on building out the structure of your operation. And a lot of times for new startups, it ends up being, not just you, but it's one more person. I find that a lot of kind of entrepreneurial types have a tendency to drag in a significant other or a parent or a family member, and they'll just be like, hey, you like me, you want to help, I need help. And so oftentimes, we'll pull in a couple of different people to start helping, and we figure out who's a good fit for what we're trying to do. Because, as you are now building out the team and you get people in place, like for example, an operations manager, the operations manager can assist you in making sure that all the different things in your business are running, right? So if you are a record label, A&R, we need someone who is actively trying to find talent. We need a marketing department who's in charge of making sure that the marketing strategy is not only in place, but being executed on. We need someone in financial to make sure that we aren't just spending all of our money aimlessly, that we're actually working towards profitability or at least breaking even, right? So, in this, sometimes it's just you. You're going to be the person that's to do all that stuff. And so, my first word to the wise is just do all that shit yourself. Don't complain about it. Okay. And once you learn the process of doing all that stuff, when you have someone else come in, you can train them and you know what needs to be done because you already did it yourself. You have kind of your procedure in place. And then as you grow, you'll have the ability to pay people. You can hire people and they'll be contractors and they can do certain hours for you. You can hire employees. So that's the beautiful thing. But where you start is you take on the responsibility to execute on everything yourself, and you'll move as quickly as you go. All right. So if you say, oh, I'm just going to kind of have a short to-do list and I'm going to do it over 3 months. Okay, that's fine. But why can't you do it all today? I have found this for not only other entrepreneurs, but for myself. right? So, if I say, team, let's get it done by the end of the week, that's fine. But why can't we do it today? And I think as fast as you move is as successful that you're going to be as an entrepreneur. So get the team, start structuring it out, and then systemize your operation. Living by calendars is incredibly important because as you start to kind of scale out and you are doing different things and building, if you have a calendar in place and a process for how you execute, things like marketing become very easy. So, for example, between my two platforms, I have my Miss Krystle platform, which is geared a little bit more towards my music and my creative stuff. And then I have Top Music Attorney. We're on every single social media platform: Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And we have no less than 2 different posts going up on each platform per day. It took a while to get to that point because that means that's a shit ton of content creation for me. And so with my schedule of running a law firm and having this show and trying to have a music career and everything, it is a lot. And it seemed very overwhelming in the beginning. But now I'm at a place where we're just flowing as, in a system, as a team, my content creation. And it's because of things like scheduling. Right. So there's definitely hacks and we can talk about that. the hacks to systemize your operation, but sitting down and being like, what is the current schedule? And is there one? Is a really good place to start. And if there isn't, get one in place. And then moving on, you want to focus on the brand and your revenue. Okay. So brand overall, what are we trying to do? What's the mission here? And, quite frankly, that's a little bit of why there's been a change even in my own show here, from what we were doing to what we're doing now. Because, the reason why I started this channel is because I wanted to serve my community of artists who are starting their own record labels and making sure that I was teaching you guys how to stay legally protected. That's incredibly important to me. So kind of getting back to that mission was something I go back to the drawing board. How do we do that? And so a part of it is just doing more segments like this, answering your questions and making sure to really promote it across all my social media platforms for you guys to come here every week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. P.S.T. We will be here. We will be live. I will answer your questions for free. So again, that goes back to kind of my mission statement, but you have to figure out your mission statement, your brand. What are you trying to do? And then look at your bottom line, right? Are you just hemorrhaging money? That happens a lot for early business owners that are early in the stage. At some point, you have to kind of figure out how to monetize. And that's another big shift that, kind of has to happen. But again, that goes back to team, brainstorming, scheduling, and figuring it all out. All right. And then lastly, let's talk about socials. If you don't already have your business, right? So if you're a record label, if you are, selling shampoos, whatever it is, if you don't already have that business username on every single social media platform, you need to go get it. And you need to make sure that it's the same, right? We are branding. We're making sure that people understand that if they're going to find Top Music Attorney on Instagram, they're going to find Top Music Attorney on TikTok. It's going to be the same username every single place. And some clients will say, well, do we need to wait to go and get all the social media handles until we have started the LLC or started the website and done some of these other things like contracts? And my answer is absolutely not. You don't have to post anything right away, but make sure you go and get the social media handles immediately. As soon as I had decided that we were doing Top Music Attorney as a thing, you better believe I was going hard. And I was like freaked out and panicked and checking and trying to, make sure that there was no problems, because that's obviously not good if someone else has your username. So recap. Number 1, make sure you go and start an LLC. It doesn't matter what you are doing as an entrepreneur. You want to stay legally protected. That's how you do it. And then for a more deep dive on how LLCs work, I have a lot of videos on this channel. Just search for the LLC videos. Number 2, get an operating agreement in place. Number 3, get your EIN, go open your bank account. And pro tip, don't use your business funds for your personal expenses. Okay. If I'm the one suing you and I see that you're using your business funds for your personal expenses, I'm going to be arguing to the court that you use your business as your personal piggy bank. It's not a real business, and I'm going to sue you personally. That's a real thing. So use your business funds only for the business. Start working on building your team. I have a full-length course on how to build a record label, but I have a free one as well. That's where you should start. Go to topmusicattorney.com. My free course on how to start a record label covers a lot of this, but when it comes to actually building the team, there are things that I get into of who to watch out for. There are red flags. There are things that have happened to me and my businesses that I share so you guys can learn how to avoid them. And then you want to systemize your operation. You want to get a schedule in place. You want to have a workflow that allows you to work. And you're not just constantly drowning in the stress of not knowing what the hell is coming next or what you should be doing. Because, a part of, quite frankly, my workflow is just trying stuff. I was telling my show producer, I was like, I tried 3 different types of content this week. I think all of it's going to flop. If it doesn't, that's exciting. But, I'm just trying stuff because I want to make sure that that I'm serving my audience and that I'm being entertaining. So you systemize your operation and then you focus on your brand. You focus on bringing in that revenue, and you're going to make sure that you're on socials, that you have all the users' names, and that your usernames are the same across all social media platforms.